Come on, Bitsy.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is October the 16th. I think I'm over the worst of my COVID. I don't feel as hot as I did the last few days, so I think I have defeated it yet again. And I'm glad I'm ill now because I'm normally ill in November, and that's way too cold to be ill over here. So we have a busy day. We're going to go through what happened with Bitcoin. We tried to get through 68. What happened? We came absolutely stonking straight back down. But then again, so did the S&P. So we're going to have a little look at that. We're going to talk about Rich Dad, Poor Dad yet again and his stupid comments regarding price action for Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Vitalik wanting to change Ethereum for the better, maybe. We're going to talk about Sui and some claims, I think they're unfounded, some claims that there's been some insider trading to the tune of $400 million. We're going to talk about Donald and his new world release, World Liberty coin, whatever it's called. We're going to talk about Litecoin. Now, we'll wait for Tariq to get into the chat because we know Tariq is our Litecoin maxi. So we'll see what Tariq has to say about that. We're also going to talk about Google and allowing mining via their own energy creation, and then we're going to talk about Mr. Beast again that we didn't cover. As well as that, there are two questions that were asked yesterday that I didn't get a chance to answer. One was for Eugene. I cannot really talk about the LCX token. The reason is it's a token of another exchange that we're not going to mention the name of, so we can't cover it. Solo Sky asked a question about Baby Doge. I'm going to have a look at the chart before we get into the main part of the show. So we're going to have a look at that as well for Solo Sky. I don't think either of them are in chat yet. The question of the day, however, the poll question of the day is, are we going to have a cat or a dog themed bull run? Is it going to be cat memes? Is it going to be dog memes? Now, I made a video about this and the narrative is for cats. I wanted to see what the audience thought. So far, we have 67% for cats and 33% for dogs. That will change by the end of the stream, I hope. So let's get into it. Let's have a quick look. I am trying to not get as hot or sticky as I did yesterday, but we shall have to see. The fever hasn't quite gone. Market cap now up to 2.3 trillion. Volume, there we go. I said it would happen this week. Over $100 billion. I was expecting 1 or 2 days this week to do that. We've got $107 billion of volume. There's some reasons that we'll go through in a minute. Bitcoin dominance and ETH dominance. Look at that. We have surged. We are now at 71.1%. We were at 70% last week. What does that mean? It means Bitcoin, the majority of that pump has been from Bitcoin. Bitcoin has outperformed the rest of the market. ETH, by the way, that ETH dominance was at 17 or 18% 8 months ago, 13.6%. It just goes to show you how well Bitcoin has done over the year. Look at the year to date of Bitcoin, 59%. Look at the year to date of Ethereum, 14%. Bitcoin has outperformed everything, really, as far as Ethereum is concerned. We've got BNB up a little bit, still under $600. Solana still under 160. I think the target for Solana, I think, is $164 is our next target for Solana. USDC, again, and USDT, two of the worst investments you can make if you want to make any money out of crypto. They haven't moved from $1 in 4 years. Dogecoin, again, waste of time. Not a fan of Dogecoin. Tron is going to fall out of the top 10 very soon. Toncoin, again, Cardano, again, we're not going to talk too much about them. We're not going to stay all day on this. Let's go and have a look at the 24 hours. Doge is up. Litecoin, on the news that we're going to cover, is up 5.5%. KuCoin, and there you go. Now, it's very rare that we see Bitcoin in the top 5 or 10 gainers of the last 24 hours. And as I've said to you before, it's like a man leading a pack of dogs, and the man being Bitcoin. The dogs are sitting there, lying down, doing nothing, and the dog walker goes, and those leads extend, and that's what's happening at the minute. The dog walker has walked off, and now we need to wait for the altcoins to catch up because Bitcoin has taken the lead. It will probably get to 68,000 and get rejected again. That's what I'm thinking. But if it doesn't, and if it keeps going, then we could see 60% Bitcoin dominance, which we're not going to look at the chart of today. We've looked at it 2 days running. But Bitcoin in the top 5, it's actually 4th of the day. Everything else is up 1%, 2%. Losers then, PopCat, again, below $1. If you're going to get this coin for the bull run, it has to go below $1, in my opinion. Why? Because I said this yesterday. If you buy PopCat at 90 cents and it goes to $9, that's a 10x. If you buy PopCat at, let's say, 160, 170, 180, that's only a 5x. That's a difference between 500 and 1,000% profit. Those little tiny movements. Now, there could be a retracement in memes and PopCat could go lower. But the video I made, I was talking about buying PopCat between 60 and 80 cents. And I only made that video 4-6 weeks ago. It's too expensive right now to buy. WorldCoin is down. Good. Maker is down. Sui, again, I don't think Sui could continue that momentum. I do think it's going to come down. We covered that yesterday. We're not going to talk about it. Brett, again, it's just at 10 cents, below 11 cents for me. Unlike PopCat, which I think has gone too high, I think Brett at this price is a good buy. Athena is down, Mog, Celestia. Remember, the way the market is going, we've called it BOING BOING Bitcoin today, but the meme coins are the ones that are showing the most volatility. They're ripping to the upside, then they're retracing, they're ripping to the upside, then they're retracing. It's good to catch the price of those meme coins at the low. Don't catch the top of the wave because you're just going to get stung. So some gainers, some losers, not too much to talk about. Now, before we get into the stream, a few good mornings. Eugene is here, Chris is here, Kishan, Mags, KB is here, good morning. Hidden is here. Bullish Bull is in chat. I haven't seen Bullish Bull for a while. two things then. Eugene is in chat. I can't talk about LCX token because it's an exchange token and we stream on an exchange, so we can't do that. Some things we're not allowed to talk about, some things we are. We try and avoid talking about exchange tokens too much. FTX is a different kettle of fish. It's gone out of business, but we try and avoid those types of tokens. And Baby Doge, I'm going to look at in a minute for Solo Sky, but we're going to start off and have a look at some X-Files. Believe it or not, when the market rips, everything is about Bitcoin. That's the problem. So most of these are about Bitcoin. Tariq is in chat. We can talk about Litecoin shortly, Tariq. I know this will make you happy. Now, I said to you that the miners take 6 months to capitulate. And I said that in May, June, July time. If you count forward from where we are now, April the 19th was the halving. We are on October the 16th. 6 months, almost 6 months. 5 months and 28 days. According to Plan B, the miner revenue bottom is in. You know what that means. Okay? That means that the miners are going to stop selling. And it normally happens 6 months after the event. Now, I have said on occasion that I think they have stopped selling. I think we're getting to the end of the stage. I think the amount that the miners hold is relatively low now. I don't think it's going to have a massive effect on the market. This, again, we say history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I was talking very briefly in Telegram yesterday with Kishan about the direction. And my warning is very simple. I wouldn't be shorting the market if this happened on October the 15th and 16th last year. And now we're on October the 15th, 16th this year. I wouldn't short the market. Now, there's a lot of kidology involved. We have, I think it's unemployment data coming out soon. I think we're going to pump until then. We could see something similar to last year. Remember, the pre-halving bull run started in October last year. Bitcoin was at what, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, and then we ripped all the way up. Look at the comparison of the graphs. They're not too dissimilar, but history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. We could go for the next 2 weeks on a solid run. Everything indicates that we're going to go on a solid run. But what does that mean? It means that the market always plays against us. The table is always stacked against you. So I wouldn't be overly longing. I wouldn't be overly shorting. This is the time where if your bags are packed, you just sit on the side and watch. It's like watching a replay of a football match and you know the score. And you can sit there and watch the match and you don't have to be nervous. You don't have to be scared. You know what's going to happen over the next 3 and 12 months. Okay? Give or take a few percentages, we're going to go up and to the right for the next 10 to 12 months. So don't worry, don't panic. If I said yesterday, if your event horizon or your investment horizon, I went all sci-fi then. If your investment horizon is 10 years, what does it matter what the price of Bitcoin is? Whether it's 60, 70, 65, 80, what does it matter? The only time it matters is when you dollar cost average in. That's the only thing that you need to care about. If your investment horizon is next October or November, then again, it doesn't matter. The only time it matters is if you're buying and selling and trading today. But you shouldn't really be doing that if you're new to crypto. You shouldn't be using leverage if you're new to crypto. Just stick to the guns. Now, Ben, I don't include him very much on here because all he ever talks about is Bitcoin dominance. But we've got a Bitcoin dominance tweet. This is what Ben's argument is, and it's a solid, sound idea, and that is very simple. In a bear market and after the bull run, you should only hold Bitcoin, nothing else. 100% of your portfolio should be in Bitcoin. And then, the period we're in now, when we're running up towards 60%, you should still be in Bitcoin. Everything should be in Bitcoin. I've just shown you Bitcoin this year is nearly up 60%, Ethereum is up 15%. Ethereum would have been up higher, Grayscale nobbled it, but that's not the point. He said you should hold Bitcoin dominance until Bitcoin dominance starts to break down. and he believes it's 60%. Okay, I said 58%, and so far we're at 58%. But Ben knows way more than I do. He's going to be right. I'm going to be wrong. I'm not going to care. Okay, it's my opinion. I'm here to give my opinions. So holding Bitcoin until the period of time where Bitcoin dominance breaks down and the alt season starts and Ethereum and Solana, everything starts to go up, that's when Bitcoin will lose its market share. It doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to go down in value. It means that the market is expanding at a greater rate than the price of Bitcoin is. So it means if Bitcoin goes up 5% and the rest of the market goes up 15%, Bitcoin dominance will fall. That's what it talks about, okay? Now, the problem I have with that argument is if you are not familiar with crypto, if you don't know what you're doing, then this is going to happen. I'm going to show you, and I'm probably not allowed to do it actually. Some guy yesterday posted up that he bought a coin in May and it's now down from where he bought it. And he said it's the worst investment he's ever made, okay? There is a saying in crypto, there is a saying in the stock market, and it's a saying as old as time, okay? Sell in May and walk away. He bought in May and now he's down. But guess what? He's down at the same rate had he invested in Ethereum, okay? Time in the market beats timing the market. Now, he bought in May and it's down. But I guarantee you, in 18 months' time, it's a solid coin. In 18 months' time, he's going to be up, okay? And then he's going to come on Twitter and say, it's the greatest investment I've ever made. I am up 5x. I have made life-changing wealth. People that buy on specific dates and don't dollar cost average in get stung. Had he dollar cost averaged in from May until now, every week, then in the bull run, his gains will be a lot more. That's the problem that you have when you go all in. So if you've got $5,000 out there and you buy Bitcoin today and Bitcoin does a 30% retracement, you'll panic and think, what have I done? Why are you panicking when your when your investment horizon is next October? It doesn't matter. What you should do is maybe buy $1,000 this week, $1,000 next week, $1,000 the week after, and the week after, and the week after. That's what you should do, okay? I inadvertently dollar cost average into a lot of the projects that I have staking with. So my Solana, my Cardano, my Ethereum is staked. I earn Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano every week. That is my dollar cost averaging in. I don't add additional funds. I just compound them with the staking. Now then, again, a very gentle reminder. There are 450 Bitcoin a day being produced, okay? In 3.5 years' time, that's going to drop to 225. So we're talking about a very scarce asset. Look at the number of Bitcoin that was bought yesterday. 12 days. Is it 12 days? 13 days worth of Bitcoin was bought in one day. What do you think is going to happen at some point in the near future with Bitcoin? The supply and demand ratio is going to cause one of two things to happen. We run out of Bitcoin because nobody will sell. Or as the price starts to appreciate, people will start to sell. Maybe 100,000, maybe 99,000, maybe 125,000. People all have their own different targets in their heads, and that's fine. The question then is that supply sufficient to meet demand? Are we going to see 5,500 Bitcoin a day being sold at $100,000? Because if we don't, we're going to see the price break. The same way we saw hand sanitizer, we saw toilet paper, we saw bottled water. Whenever there's an emergency, the prices of those items go through the roof, and what happens? The shelves empty and the price quadruples, triples, whatever it might be. At some point in the future, either the price goes so high that people sell and we find an equilibrium, or we get to the point where we run out of Bitcoin. And it's not going to be today, but like I said, if your investment horizon is 5-10 years, you should be doing everything in your power now to buy Bitcoin. Okay? I know I like a lot of other coins. I like Ethereum, I like Solana, I like Cardano, I like XRP. But when it comes down to it, if somebody put something to my head and said, everything you own has to be put into one asset for the next 5 years, I would say Bitcoin. There's no comparison. But it doesn't mean you can't make more money with AI tokens and real world assets. But they only make up about 40% of my portfolio. 60% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin. Anyway, moving on. This is an interesting point by Andy. Right then, let me have a quick look in chat. A few questions. Cyberpunk Danny, good morning. Hello, Solo Sky. I'm glad Solo Sky's here. I've got your chart on Baby Doge for you. Now, what do all of these things have in common? Some of these names you'll have heard before. Some of these names you won't have heard before. The AG layer, I've talked about before. Super chains, meta layers, Debridge, Wormhole, these are projects. What else is Layer 0 is on here. Omni is on here. Axelar is on here. They are talking about composability. And that's a little bit of a more in-depth way of how I talk about interoperability. All of these things here try and unite all the different blockchains, but it's a little bit deeper than that. They're trying to make a system whereby you can use a dApp on one chain with a liquidity pool on another chain, with maybe smart contracts on another chain, whatever it might be. And it's all about creating one ecosystem, one ring to rule them all. Yes, we're talking about the rings for the men, the rings for the dwarves, the rings for the elves, all of that. And we're talking about creating one great big mesh, like the internet works, where everything is connected together. You might have Korean Telecom, British Telecom, AT&T. They're all different companies, but they're all using common protocols to connect the internet together. The telephony systems that you've been using for the last 60 years all use different exchanges to connect to each other. This is what these projects are trying to do. You think it's fragmented, because it is. But you're so early. You have to understand how early you are. This is not the internet of 2024. This is the internet of probably 2004, 2003. And I remember you would constantly get disconnected. Well, guess what? Transactions often fail on certain blockchains. Things would go down. Exchanges would go down. Data centers, data exchanges would go down. Well, we see that with the likes of Solana. Other exchanges have gone down as well. Other blockchains have gone down. We're not there, but you're comparing something which is being built to something which has been built, and that's unfair. Okay? So all of these companies are trying to solve the problem, which is when your mum wants to play a game that's on Polygon and she has a wallet where her funds are on Solana, these companies are creating a system whereby she goes to the website or even goes to the game on her PlayStation or on the TV or whatever, and she presses a button, and everything that goes on in the background with regards to the transaction fees, the swapping, everything, she doesn't care. It doesn't matter, okay? Maybe she has to pay 50 cents to borrow an NFT off somebody that staked it on the platform, and that NFT happens to be on Optimism, for example. It doesn't matter where everything is. The wallet and the system that these people are trying to build will solve all the problems. Because at the minute, if your mum wants to play on a game on her PlayStation, she's got to have the right funds in the right wallet with the right connection, and then it's not going to happen. It's too fragmented, and that is where we are. Now, before we move on, two things we're going to look at. We're going to look at the liquidation data from the last 24 hours, because that's important. But we're also going to look at this very quickly for Solo Sky. Indeed, smash the likes. So, this is Baby Doge, which he asked me to look at. And I went in and I had a look. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Would I touch this coin? Not with a barge pole. Okay. It is putting in lower high after lower high after lower high. We can look over here. Look. at that. I wouldn't touch this. Now, there is always a disclaimer when I say I wouldn't touch this, and that is even deadwood floats on a rising tide. I used to say even all ships float on a rising tide, but in this case it's deadwood. All deadwood floats on a rising tide. What I would say to you, Solo Sky, if you want to get into this coin, go and have a look at the tokenomics. Is it 100% circulating supply? Are they printing this into infinity? What's the staking rewards? Is it 20, 30%? This chart, by the way, is 2.5 years. It's not even a 6-month chart. It's 2.5 years, and it goes all the way back. And it's just in a downward trajectory. I wouldn't be buying this coin. I wouldn't be going anywhere near it. You know what this reminds me of? That BTC coin. It's just, I wouldn't touch it. I mean, don't get me wrong. In the bull run, everything's going to go up. Okay, so at some point, this is going to do that, and it's going to go to the upside. Maybe goes up this week. Maybe goes up next week. But long term, I wouldn't hold this coin. Not in a million years would I hold that coin. I'm sure there's probably some TA name for it, like, you know, bearish something or other. But again, if you want the proper TA on things like this, you need to go and watch the Oracle. He will be streaming tomorrow night. I am so hot. Right then. Well, as I said, I try and fit everything in. And if I don't fit it in, I bring it over to the following day. Now, these are the liquidations. $300 million. So it's up a little bit since yesterday. I think it was 200 million yesterday. So we've had a lot of liquidations. You can see what's been liquidated. The longs have been liquidated. Shorts have been liquidated. The majority of the liquidations. What's interesting, I just saw then on the 1 hour. If you look at the 1 hour chart, there's not a lot of liquidations, but Doge is being liquidated. And that's unusual, but there we go. So again, why am I showing you this? Because actually, there's a fair old balance of longs and shorts being liquidated. And the reason is, and we're going to get onto Bitcoin in a minute, the reason is we went to 68,000. So there was a short squeeze, all the shorts got wiped out. And then what happened? Bitcoin came hurtling down to what, 65.5 was it? Something like that. Also got liquidated. The price we came down to was also a significant level and a positive level, which we'll get onto in a short minute. Right then. Now, again, one thing I want you to do right now, okay? I'm deadly serious about this. I want you all to listen very carefully. Okay. I want you to repeat after me. Everything Rich Dad Poor Dad says is garbage. Okay? Just repeat that to yourself. Everything Rich Dad Poor Dad says is garbage. He told you that Bitcoin was going to be $350,000 in August. That's what he said. I had the article. I brought it up in September. Then it became, well, I didn't say that. That's what I wanted. Okay. Well, when you're somebody with millions of followers, you need to bite your lip and you need to stop coming out with this trash, because people listen to you and get hurt. And you shouldn't hide behind a stupid comment like, well, I didn't make them buy it. It's your financial future. It's nothing to do with me. It's rubbish. We hold sports people to a high standard, don't we? You know, we don't like it when sports people swear and do these things. And we say, oh, you've got to think about the kids that idolize you. What about people like this guy? How do we know there aren't 20 or 30 people out there that put their life savings into Bitcoin at $65,000, expecting it to go to $350,000 by August, and are still sitting there marginally up? How do we know that the people that bought at 65,000 didn't sell at 49,000 and it actually lost them money? We don't. But this idiot should not be allowed anywhere near a microphone or a reporter or anything. He doesn't understand what he's talking about, and he's hurting people, and that's dangerous. So anyway, I'm not gonna give him the time of day. I'm not going to give him the time of day. He did say that, you know, in the worst case scenario, Bitcoin could go to $5,000. I'd like to see it try. I think we could go to $42,000, $44,000. Yes, I think we could have a black swan that would absolutely bring us down. Yes, I agree. But a black swan is not going to bring us to $5,000. A black swan could bring us to, like I said, $50,000. Now then, let me very quickly get rid of this. There we go. Okay, so what happened yesterday? I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. We're on the 8 hour. Hang on. Let's go to the daily. There we go. So what happened then with Bitcoin? Look how close we got to my line, which was probably badly drawn. Okay, I'm going to be honest, because there's a gap over here and there's a gap over here. So again, I'm going to claim moral victory on this one. What were my two targets for Bitcoin? 65.8, 66,000, and what was this? 68,100. They were my targets for Bitcoin. Why? Because for us to start to look like we're putting in recent higher highs, let's wait for my mouse to come back on. Right, I'm going to have to draw this. There we go. Okay, so on the daily, we are putting in higher highs. We could go out and argue that we need to get above that level to put in a higher high. That is the level which is coming in at 68,000. We did wick above it, but we didn't hold it. So we're technically there. I'm going to give the bulls victory on that. Again, if we zoom in here, we're still in the channel, okay? We're still in the channel that I have drawn. Why is the channel important? Well, have a look for yourself. Look where we are. Now, let me just point something out for the people in chat. Every time we've come down here, I get people in chat telling me that the market is manipulated and Bitcoin is a scam and it's trash, okay? Every time we get up here, we get people coming into chat saying, this is the greatest financial investment I have ever made, okay? Both of those things can be true, of course, but we can't be too positive at this moment. I know that sounds terrible, but until we break this, until we break that and we get up here and we find some resistance, we find some support, I am still not being happy, okay? And I know Tariq likes it when I'm happy, which is very rare. I'm very, you know, I'm very miserable. I'm a northerner. I'm allowed to be miserable, especially when I've got the C word and I really don't feel too great. But we're above the bull market support band, happy. We're in October, happy. The ETFs are gobbling up all the Bitcoin, I'm happy, okay? The last thing I want to be happy. Now, if you watch Strictly Come Dancing, you'll know this. Craig Revel Hall, he will say you're brilliant, except you need to do your footwork better, or you need to do this better, whatever it might be. Bitcoin gets a 9 out of 10. It got a 6 out of 10 a few days ago because we were a little bit lower, but above the bull market support band. Now it gets a 9, okay? It will only get a 10 from me when we do that. That's a 10. We're not at a 10, we're at a 9, okay? Just keeping an eye on chat. 5K, not happening. Exactly. We know it's not 5K. Big garbage, absolutely big garbage. Worst case scenario, where can I see Bitcoin going to? If there was a humongous cataclysmic event, maybe 25,000, high 20,000s, 30,000, something like that, that would be... What you've got to understand is that when people talk about how do you get Bitcoin to $5,000, you wipe out the financial markets. You destroy the currency exchanges. You know, the, what's it called? LIBOR rates. You crush, you know, the yen or the dollar gets, they print a 500% of the US dollar and destroy the US dollar market. That would make Bitcoin pump. They burn all the US dollars in existence. None of the things are going to happen, right? We have an EMP explode somewhere and it shuts down every computer, every part of the internet. Anything that would bring Bitcoin to $5,000 would destroy the financial system at this stage, because that would be that would take $1 trillion off Bitcoin. If something takes $1 trillion out of Bitcoin, what is it going to do to the S&P? It would wreck everything. So we're not at the stage where Bitcoin is worth $100 billion and it could be targeted. We're at the stage where it's now becoming a major financial instrument, a commodity, whatever you want to call it, a market. These people that say these things, and again, we go back to the Fed, what the Fed woman said yesterday, in 13 years, Bitcoin hasn't proven to be anything but worthless. Read the room. Did she say that? No. Was she told to say that? Yes, of course she was, by the powers that be. And I guarantee you, in March, April, May, June next year, the Fed will not be talking about Bitcoin the way it talks about it today. Neither will the IMF. Neither will Europe, whatever she's called, Vanda, whatever she's called. They're not going to be talking about Bitcoin because they're still fighting it. Why are they fighting it? If it's worthless, why are they talking about it? If it doesn't have any value, why do they bring it up? If it doesn't have any value, why are they trying to ban it? Because it's a threat to the financial system. How is it a threat if it's worthless? Think about the reason these stupid people tell you these stupid things. It's not because that's what they believe. It's because it's the narrative they're trying to sell. Okay? Look at what they were saying about Biden. He's coherent. He's quick. He's fast. He's on the ball. He doesn't sleep. He does this. He does that. Was any of that true? No. It was a narrative they all tried to push. Now, when the IMF, the head of the Fed, and Europe all say the same thing, that Bitcoin is worthless and it's trash, think about why they're saying that, and then look at what they're trying to do to hinder its progress. It's a threat to control, not a threat to the financial system. It's a threat to control. They want to control the money supply, which is fine. I totally agree with that. You should have a sovereign currency. You should be in charge of interest rates. You should be in charge of money printing. You should be in charge of all of that. I totally agree. But Bitcoin is not worthless. It's not a threat. How can it be a threat when it doesn't have? Nobody can control Bitcoin, so how can it be a threat? It's incredible. So for Bitcoin to get a 10 out of 10, it has to go above 68,000 for me. The Jupiter ASR claim isn't live. My video went live too soon. I did schedule it for Thursday. It's probably going to go live on Thursday. They'll probably announce it today. It will go live tomorrow. As soon as it goes live, I will tell you. I'm feeling a little bit better today, so I am going to be streaming for the rest of the week, I think. There is no stream tonight. There's no office studio stream at all. I'm probably going to have a nap after this, but I have to do another stream this afternoon. I'm probably going to stream about 1 o'clock. No rest for the wicked. Vitalik proposes fundamental changes to Ethereum. Again, he explores ideas to make the network faster and transactions cheaper, including reducing staking deposits. Now, my question about all of this is, why? Why is he doing this? What's the problem with Ethereum? Is he trying to go head-to-head with Solana? Why does he want to make the transactions cheaper when they reduced the transaction fees on all the layer 2s by 75% a few months ago? If you reduce transaction fees, you also reduce the burn on Ethereum. And there is a balance, okay? So if you're burning 3% of, let's say, the supply every year, and you're paying out 2.8% of the supply every year, you have you become a deflationary currency, which is good. It's a good thing. If you slash the fees, and let's say you burn 1.5%, but you're still paying out 3%, then you become inflationary, which over time is not good. We've seen what it's done to the US economy. It's not good. So why is he looking at this? In a post, he wrote about improvements to proof of stake. That needs improving. They should go and just copy the Cardano proof of stake system It's perfect. He wants to avoid centralization risks. It's too late for that. He was too naive. In my opinion, he was naive. He looked at the technology rather than looking at how people use the technology. I think Vitalik is naive. I think that he needed somebody in the room like a Charles or an Anatoly or a Gavin to help him. I think he's been very naive in doing what he's doing. I do agree that solo stakers are going to find it harder. 32,000 ETH, sorry, 32 ETH is a lot now. It's $83,000. It's difficult to become a solo staker at those prices. If you're an OG, you've probably got hundreds of ETH. It's not a problem. But if you're coming today, the average person can't afford to stake 32 ETH. Lowering it to 1 ETH is not a bad idea. I'd maybe make it 4 or 5 for the sake of arguments. But again, if Ethereum goes to $10,000, we're in the same situation again, where 1 ETH is still $10,000. I don't know, maybe that's where they're thinking about it. The goal would be to support solo stakers. Poll after poll showing that the main obstacle for people to solo stake is 32 ETH, and dropping the deposit amount would help decentralize the consensus mechanism. Again, proof of stake should really be called proof of wealth. If you buy enough of these tokens, you control a lot of the votes. BlackRock are going to own a lot of ETH in the future. Now, I know Gary Gensler did something really important. When they allowed the Ethereum ETF, he didn't allow them to be staked. So what that does is, instead of having 120 million ETH in the voting mechanism, there might be 110 million ETH, because the 10 million ETH that's owned by BlackRock isn't allowed to vote. And that might not be a bad thing to keep going into the future, because if BlackRock owns 20% of all the supply of Ethereum, guess what? BlackRock will end up controlling the network, because they'll group together with all of the other ETFs and maybe change the direction of Ethereum. So it's dangerous when you're in a proof of stake DAO-based system that it's proof of wealth. If Elon Musk turned around tomorrow and bought $20 billion worth of Ethereum, he'd have a big say in the future. You can't do that with Bitcoin. Right then. It takes 2 to 3 epochs, 15 minutes to finalize the blocks. They want to drop it to a single slot status, which means 12 seconds or less. That will improve the speed. I know they were talking about changing the way that the blobs worked to help the layer 2s, so layer 2s can process more transactions and roll them all up. So that was quite important. So Ethereum's layer 1 has been losing economic activity to a wide range of layer 2s. That's fine. That's what we want in the future, is it not? Do we not want Ethereum to sit there and power all of the layer 2s? I thought that was the direction we should have been going in. We don't want projects sitting directly onto Ethereum because it makes it slow. Petra will change the Ethereum staker earn rewards, shaping up to be the most expansive upgrade in Ethereum's history, with core developers considering splitting the change into 2 separate forks. Again, it's positive that he's looking at changes, but I'll go back to my comment that I made a few weeks ago. Where's the roadmap? Where's the roadmap? Is crypto not like buying air compared to shares where there is a legit company? No, because the majority of the majority of crypto projects are companies. So, for example, you have the Sui Foundation, it's a company. You have the Ethereum Foundation, it's a company. The only big coin that isn't a company per se is Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have a company formation around it. But there's 2 sides to the coin. If you're going to chop the head off a snake, you want a company. Who's the head of Ethereum? Who would you go after if you were going to take down Ethereum? You'd go after Vitalik. Who would you go after if you wanted to take down Solana? You'd go after Anatoly. Charles, if you wanted to take down Cardano. XRP is more a company than anything else. XRP is going to have its own IPO in America. Once this court case is finished, they're going to IPO. Brad Garlinghouse would be the person you would take down. They are companies, okay? They're not just some blokes that sit in a room that throw together some code and publish it. They're meme coins. If you're a bona fide company and you have a bona fide product, we've talked about Swarm, we've talked about Ondo. They are legitimate, registered, audited businesses, okay? They are not cowboys that sit in the boiler room pumping out drivel. That's kept for the meme coins. These are all legitimate companies. If you come to me and say, can you review this project? What's the first thing I do? I look at the tokenomics. I look at the team. Okay. If I've never heard of the company, I go and have a look at Google Maps and see where they're located. I go and look at Companies House to see if they're registered. I go and look at the directors. I go and check them out on LinkedIn. And if none of that adds up, I tell you to walk away. I've done it 15, 16 different times with scam AI trading bots. You've got to be careful. Now, when a project like Sui has a $400 million investment, do you think that the people backing Sui are just going to give it to 6 ex-Google blokes, ex-Meta blokes, and say, there you go, there's $400 million? Of course not. Okay? There are lawyers involved, accountants involved, auditors involved. They are legitimate businesses. The difference between, say, Sui and Apple is Apple's stocks and shares are listed on the S&P. Sui's shares, if we want to call them that, are listed on exchanges and DEXs. That's the only difference, okay? You are protected if you buy Apple shares and Apple defaults on something. You're protected up to $250,000 in America, okay? If Sui disappears, you've lost all your money. That's the biggest difference, is consumer protection. Now, there is a rumor, and Sui came out and defended this rumor, so I'm not going to say that this is true because they've explained why. They're claiming that insiders have been dumping, I believe, $400 million of tokens in the project amid the ongoing rally. Okay? One thing I've found more and more baffling in the last few weeks is the vertical ascent of Sui with its quadrupling off the lows. The market is starved of winners and believes it has found one, yet it feels awfully chintzy for 2 reasons. Now, again, I've been saying to you on here, don't buy Sui at this price, because whether it's legitimate or not, if it's legitimate and you've missed the boat, doesn't matter. Where's it going to go? I said this yesterday. Is it going to go to $5? That would put it in the top 10. Okay, so it's not going to go much higher. What's more likely to happen is it's going to come back down. And then if you want to buy Sui at $1, $1.20, $1.40, buy it then. Okay, but TON did the same thing. TON went straight up to number 9. And guess what? It plateaued and it retraced. Sui's going to do the same thing. Maybe it happens today, next week, next month. You can't keep inflating a project forever and a day. Okay, this is why the XRP maxes that talk about $1,000 and $100, they're off the rockers. You buy XRP today at 56 cents, you should be looking at $3 to $5 in the bull run, and that's a good bull run, and that's the SEC case closed. Okay. Same with Cardano. Cardano maxes talk about $25 Cardano. Do you know what amount of money has to go into Cardano in the next 12 months to get it there? You'd be good to get $3, $4, $5 again out of Cardano. Where's Sui going to go in the bull run? People are talking about $25. Do you know what market cap that gives Sui? Again, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the allegations. Sui have investigated, and I'm not going to click on it, but basically what they said in this tweet was very simple. That one of their investor partners, I wish my mouse would come back on. One of their investment partners, are we back? There we go. Sold their investment basically and sold it for $400 million. So again, people are going to complain. There we go. Infrastructure partner with $400 million is an insider, and by in compliance you mean already know about all of this. Now again, an infrastructure partner is not an insider. An insider who's somebody that works within the Sui Foundation. Infrastructure partner could be Google Cloud, could be Microsoft Cloud, could be Amazon Web Services. We don't know. It's an infrastructure partner. So maybe it's somebody that provides the hosting. And maybe they said, right, well, we can't pay you, but what we'll do is you give us free hosting for the next 10 years and we'll give you so many shares, 150 million shares. So it doesn't mean that they're an insider. And again, this is the problem with these so-called experts on Twitter. They think they know everything they're talking about. Do you remember when we had the problem about the fact that BlackRock wasn't buying Bitcoin? and that they were buying it on tap, and there was an exchange doing them a favor, and it was paper trading. And I said to you at the time, it's utter nonsense. You have settlement dates, which are T1, T-1, T-2, which means it takes 1 to 2 days to settle. We talked about that on here. That ended up being what had happened. But no, crypto Twitter knows best. I know best. This is a complete scam. Gary Gensler and BlackRock are in bed with this exchange, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and they're going to cause Bitcoin to crash. That's the problem with crypto Twitter. It's like a witch hunt from the 1700s, you know. Somebody makes a great cup of tea in 1700s. This is too good a cup of tea. They must be a witch. We'll burn them at the stake. Well, I'm not. Well, we'll throw you in a river, and if you sink, you're not. And if you float, you are. What does that mean? So BlackRock, damned if they do, damned if they don't. They've done it the right way. You can't have instantaneous transactions in TradFi. It doesn't work that way. They have end-of-day settlements. The following day, the 2 days after, whatever it might be, okay? Just when you see these people say there's $400 million being sold from inside Sui is a rug pull. No. Trump's WLFI. God, why do people not just think of clever names? Why don't they just call it Trump? Website goes dark hours before token launch. The platform experienced minor glitches in the lead up to the launch of its token. Now, I am not a fan of Kamala Harris. And if you put any sensible opposition up against Trump, they would win. Had Robert Kennedy stood for the Democrat Party, he would win this election. Hands down, he would win this election. Trump has no competitor in a two-horse race. And it's very apparent to see that he is head and shoulders above Kamala Harris. But that's not difficult. The majority of you out there, myself included, would do a better job than Kamala Harris. She's terrible. I don't know whether they've thrown it. I don't know whether it's Biden's last joke at the Democrat Party, but there are better people. Michelle Obama would have been an outstanding candidate because she's articulate, she's very clever, she's very witty, she's very good. Even Hillary Clinton, I know she's getting on a bit, she would have put up a better fight. But no, they picked Kamala. Now, the issue is, power. There's an old saying, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Donald Trump launching with his family, so it's not exit Trump, Trump's family launching this the month before the election, leading into him being the president of America, is absolutely the wrong thing. It's absolutely the wrong thing, because the Democrats will purposely try and lose money through this platform, and in 4 years' time turn around and say, Donald Trump became the president of America, abused his power over crypto, made crypto easy for everybody. Everybody bought Trump's token because he was president of America, and everybody's lost money. That's what they're going to do, and I can see it a mile away. This is his worst mistake, in my opinion, that he has made. And it doesn't matter if it's Barron Trump or his son, but World Liberty Finance is a cash grab. That's all it is. It's a cash grab. And it's a rehash of an existing project that didn't do very well. I don't know if it's going to mention it in here. There was a mention of it somewhere. But basically, there are a failed project that they've just reskinned as World Liberty Finance. This is an absolutely terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. So for me, my advice would be stick to buying the coins in the top 10, top 20. Avoid these types of projects. Can it pump in the first few weeks? Of course it can. Of course it can. But does it mean it's a sound investment? No. What does it do? Can anybody tell me what it does? Because I can't. I know what it's trying to do, and that's create financial freedom for all. How is it going to do it? Right then, this is for Tariq. Will ETFs manipulate crypto prices somewhat? ETFs cannot manipulate the price because the ETF holders are individuals. So the ETF itself can't make a decision. It's like a dumb terminal. It's in and out. If you want to buy $100,000 of Bitcoin, the ETF will go and buy it. If you want to sell $100,000 of Bitcoin, it will go and sell it for you. It doesn't have a decision-making process in there. If BlackRock went out directly and bought 30 million Ethereum, it would be within its rights to cast a vote. The same way it buys, basically BlackRock buys enough shares in a company to get a seat on the board and then change the strategy of that company. So ETFs can't do that. Michael Obama, she's weird. We can't talk about that on here. Not a big fan of Trump, but Kamala is just an embarrassment. Absolutely. Kamala Harris is not the person that should be standing against Donald Trump. And in boxing, you see these people, don't you? Like the Tyson Fury, the Klitschko's of this world. And they get in a ring, and it's a $10 million purse. And then some overweight guy with a moustache gets in the ring from the Bronx. And Klitschko beats him up in 4 rounds and wins. And everybody says, oh, yeah, but this guy was out of shape and this guy didn't practice enough and this whatever. That's not Vladimir Klitschko's fault, is it? If Liverpool got to the final of the European Cup and played, I don't know, Ulense from Denmark, who are, they're a professional team, but they haven't got many good players, and Liverpool win the final 12-0, is it Liverpool's fault? No. You can only beat what's put in front of you. Trump can only beat Kamala Harris. Before Kamala, Trump could only beat Biden. That's the problem. And they're going to use that against him and say, well, you only beat Kamala Harris or you only beat Joe Biden. You didn't come up against a serious competitor. Well, actually, he did. He beat Hillary Clinton. But the point of the matter is he can only beat what's put in front of him. And I'm not a massive fan. I like him. He is the epitome of a narcissist, yes. There's loads of allegations against him, which we're not going to go into because it's not relevant. But is he going to be positive for crypto? Yes. Is he going to be positive for Bitcoin and the SEC? Yes. Is he going to be a good thing for the economy of the world? Yes. Is he going to be a good thing for what's going in Eastern Europe and the Middle East? Absolutely. Remember, on his watch, nothing really happened. There was no great military problems. We've seen what's happened in Taiwan in the last 48 hours. That doesn't look good. Trump might be able to fend that off. We don't know. Now then, this is for Tariq. I hope Tariq is sitting here comfortably. Tariq, Litecoin spikes 10% as Canary Capital applies for a spot Litecoin ETF. They've also applied for an XRP ETF, which probably not going to get. Now, do I think that they're going to get a Litecoin ETF? Yes, I do. Litecoin is proof of work. Litecoin is a fork from Bitcoin. Is it one of the best coins? Nope. Is it one of the most utilized coins? Nope. Do people talk about it on crypto Twitter? Nope. But it's proof of work, and it's been going for a while, and it's a solid project, and will it help the price of Litecoin? Absolutely. Is it a decent investment if you were going to go out and buy a Litecoin ETF? No, I wouldn't be buying it, but it's going to get it in front of people's eyes. Now, you're going to say, well, what does it matter? Like nobody's going to buy it. Well, it's not about that. What's going to happen is in the future, and we see this with Grayscale, people are going to bundle ETFs together. So Litecoin will win by association. And what I mean by that is BlackRock in 5 years' time will have all of the ETFs it wants. And then people are going to go, well, I'm a bit confused. I don't know which ones to buy. BlackRock will say, no problem. I've got a solution for you. We have the Omni ETF fund trust for you. And it's got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, Solana in it. Buy that one. It's got all of the Bitcoins, all of the Ethereums. It's got all the cryptos in it. And the person will go, brilliant. Now, they may only give 1 or 2% allocation to Litecoin. But when you're talking about $100 million a day, you're talking about $1 million a day of Litecoin being bought. That's victory by association. It's like the little snotty kid that's at the back of the gang that goes to fight and it can't get into the action because it's a little snotty kid, but it's going to win the fight and it will claim a moral victory. And fair play to the people that hold Litecoin. I held Litecoin. I mined Litecoin. It was one of my favorite coins, but it was one of my favorite coins 6-7 years ago. It wasn't one of my favorite coins now. I actually bought a Litecoin miner, an ant miner, and I mined Litecoin because I saw the value in it. And since then, it's had a few spikes. It's done incredibly well, but it will win through an ETF, in my opinion, and maybe then it will gain popularity. So it's got over $70. Happy days for Litecoin. The filing was to seek approval. It's now 27th, so it's not fallen that far. But remember, Litecoin used to be 4th, 3rd. The top 3, I think, thinking back, was Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP was up there. You had other coins that don't exist anymore, of course, up there. But again, that'll be a good segment for maybe the show tomorrow. I'll go and have a look at 4 years ago and 8 years ago to show you what the top 10 was 8 years ago and 4 years ago, just so you can realize that the top 10 today more than likely might not be the top 10 in 4 years' time. I think we're a bit more mature now. I think the projects are a bit more mature. I don't think we're going to see as much volatility in the top 10, but it's still, you know, you'd have bought the top 10 8 years ago, 4 years ago. The key wasn't buying it, the key was selling it then. So Litecoin and XRP, I do not see XRP getting an ETF until the court case is closed. And Grayscale will dump on both. This will go live, Grayscale will apply, Grayscale will win, Litecoin will go to zero, or not zero, that's not true. It'll go to $50, $60 again, because Grayscale does that. We've learned twice now that every time an ETF goes live, Grayscale dumps. When Solana goes live, the best idea, based on historical evidence, is to sell your Solana 2 days, a week before the ETF goes live. So Litecoin is looking good. Congratulations to Tariq. It's 11:59, but I think we have a couple of things left. Let's see if we can get through them. These will be quick. So again, if you want to make some money, the narrative behind Litecoin could be there. If the application doesn't get rejected, then it's going to go on a rally, probably break $100 along the way. And again, if Bitcoin goes on a rally, so will Litecoin eventually. I don't know if it's ever going to get back to $300, $350 though. Oh. Google's nuclear power plant could revolutionize cryptocurrency mining. Small modular reactors should make on-site nuclear energy economically feasible at scale. Now, again, small modular reactors, SMRs, don't they sound good? Is a nuclear power source with a much smaller infrastructure footprint. These next generation reactors are purported to be safer. I follow the UK, what's it called now? The UK Atomic Foundation, I think they're called. And they work on various different types of power outside of nuclear and everything else. And they're working on these kind of city reactors where you basically plonk a generator in your city and it will power 5 million homes, whatever it might be. So these things are in the works. I think somebody like Rolls-Royce or British Aerospace are working on a mini nuclear reactor as well. So there's lots of these things going on. We don't really need to care about the diagrams. Why does this matter to you? Because we want to get away from the narrative of crypto being bad for the environment. We want to work on crypto being a net positive. So clean energy, nuclear power, clean energy, it kind of all sits in quite nicely. So this deal with Kairos Power is going to be good. And believe you me, if they create a nuclear power station or mini nuclear power stations, they're going to have Bitcoin miners running on them. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? Use the excess power, run these to 100% uptime or 95% uptime. Use that extra energy for producing Bitcoin. It will secure the network. Again, it's a win-win for Bitcoin. And obviously, it's going to dramatically reduce the the cost of power to Google, which is what we want. Because if AI is going to be the future, how do we power it? how do we power AI, and how do we power, or how do we generate all the CPUs and the GPUs and everything else that you need for AI? If AI is the future, we don't have the infrastructure for it. So finally then, before we move on, let's very quickly have a look at this. Oh, by the way, the meme, the vote so far, 60% cats, 40% dogs. Mr. Beast reaped $10 million promoting and dumping altcoins. He doesn't appear to have broken any laws, but his actions have sparked ethical concerns within the crypto community. What do I always say to you? Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Mr. Beast. What does Mr. Beast know about crypto? Don't listen to Snoop Dogg. Don't listen to Shaq. They're all just trying to separate you from your money. They were levied against Mr. Beast by a blockchain investigator using the handle SomaXBT on the account. Investigation has alleged he's made $10 million by backing low-cap IDO crypto tokens promoted by Influence, Lark, Crypto Banter, KSI, and others. Most are down 90%. Now, this is what I said to you the other day about GigaChad, and this is quite serious. If you see a meme coin being pumped on all the different crypto influencers, pumped by all the different crypto influencers on X and on YouTube, it's fishy. When they stream for an hour, like I do here, I stream to you based on providing you with some news. There's no monetary attachment to anything I say. Yes, I'm clear that we are sponsored by Mew. It's on the screen right there in front of you. But I'm not paid to cover tokens on this stream. Their streams are broken up into 5-10 minute segments, and they will sell a 5 or 10 minute segment on their show because so many people watch them. It's like an advert, an advertorial. It's like QVC. Actually, that's a better example. These streamers are like QVC. Now, don't get me wrong. I watch Crypto Banter. I quite like the charts guys, Sniper guy, whatever he's called. I quite like watching them. They're good to watch. But the issue is that they're selling you things without you knowing it. And that is against the law. Okay? If you sell something to somebody like GigaChad, and I'm using GigaChad as an example because I've seen 4 different streamers talk about it. GigaChad gets talked about by every crypto streamer. I won't mention it. I know I'm mentioning it now and I've said it 6 times, but you get the point. Anybody that's covered to that extent, to me, is being unduly influenced to talk about it. Now, Mr. Beast falls into this bracket. Now, karma is something that happens when things come back and bite you on the backside. The saying that this hasn't broken any laws is wrong. If you are getting a monetary reward for talking about something and not declaring that, that's against the law. YouTube have policies on it, and so do the Advertising Standards Agency in the UK, for example. So if I start to wear a hat and that hat has got an exchange on it, and I'm being paid by that exchange to wear that cap, guess what? I need to tell you that. I need to put a little thing on the screen saying adverts, whatever. They don't do that. So these are all the tokens that allegedly are associated with Mr. Beast. Some of these projects I've never heard of. Now, if he's made $10 million, as the others have done, this is something that will be investigated by the authorities, and so it should. If you're not honest with people and you're doing this to abuse your followers, then that's on you, and you need to pay people back. You need to hand over your profits because it's ill-gotten gains. So Zach has already gone after Ansem for facilitating a string of meme coin pumps and dumps. Again, this is why it's so difficult for you to actually know what to buy, because you have influencers. They're all a joke. Yeah, some of them. Buying 10, 20 coins will not make you money this cycle, especially extreme gains. Yeah, exactly. So my issue is, with all of these things, is don't listen to anybody on the internet. Don't buy anything that's just come out of nowhere and suddenly everybody's talking about it. Ondo. I could have talked about Ondo and I could have bought Ondo 2 months earlier at 40 cents, 30 cents, and I didn't, because I didn't like the way everybody was talking about it. And that's the issue for me. And that's why sometimes I don't talk about things, because I see it's just come out of nowhere. So I give it time, see what happens. Most of the time it's fine. And most of the time, yes, I've already missed the gains, but I don't care. I'd rather talk about things that you can research yourselves, look at and stuff like that. So anyway, that's enough from me. I've got to stream again in about an hour. So I will be back in an hour. Thank you everybody for coming. I'm really tired. I'm gonna have a little lie down or something. Take care. Thank you for coming. Thank you, KB, Tariq, everybody in chat. See you in an hour.